Welcome back, guys. It's Darkroamer here from LunaciaAcademy. Today, we'll be turning you zero breeders into hero breeders. No good tool should go unused. As a breeder, you really want to be using all the tools you have available to you. How can you be good at digging for gold if you don't have a shovel? It's so important to familiarize yourself with good breeding tools to truly ensure you know exactly what you are breeding and what your ROIs and odds look like. Without any of this, you might as well be gambling at your local casino. The three tools I use the most are the Freaks Axie extension, the Flowbot's 44 damage extension, and the Axie Zone breeding simulator. Each of these tools is essential for any beginner breeder, and let me tell you why. The first tool that is arguably the most important is the Freaks Axie extension. This is the lifeline of every breeder. Without it, there is no way for you to distinguish one Axie from another, especially when it comes to breeding. This tool allows you to see the complete genetic composition of an Axie. As you can see over here, the Freaks Axie extension displays an Axie's gene in a table format with 6 rows and 3 columns. I know this looks overwhelming, but don't worry. Let me show you how to interpret this information. We have a staple leaf bug plant right here. We'll call him Cage, and these are his genes. Immediately, you can see some impurities in the R1 and R2. And then over here, we have another leaf bug plant that we'll call Ori. And as you can see, his genes are immaculate. Absolutely perfect. Ori is what pro breeders would call a perfect 100. The leaf bug, Sirius, pumpkin, and hoppa genes are perfect all the way through, and each impurity in the R2 will reduce the purity by 1%, and each impurity in the R1 will reduce the purity by 3%. So by using a bit of mental math, we can calculate Cage's real purity. As you can see here, Cage is relatively clean, but he's not perfect. We have pumpkin Bidens, we have leaf bug cactus, and hoppa yam shiba. Hoppa and yam are both very good, so both of them are considered pure. However, Bidens, cactus, and shiba are not what we want, so these would be considered impurities. And as you can see, and as stated earlier, each impurity in the R2 will reduce the overall purity by 1%. Over here, we have 3 impurities in the R2, so therefore, this is actually a 97% leaf bug. One common mistake that most breeders make is they look at the purity based on the colors/type. Let's take a look at this deceptively pure leaf bug Axie and see what it actually is in terms of purity. This Axie looks pure, but don't be fooled, it's not perfect. There is a cattail in the R1 and a potato leaf in the R2, and they're both hiding there. Getting either of these will not result in good sales. Here's a little peek into the prices if you end up with cattail or potato leaf. As you can see, they're not that great. So this Axie may look like a 100%, but in reality, this is only a 96%. This is also completely true on the flip side as well. If I get Cube Bunny or Snake Jar on my leaf bug plant, it will actually sell for more. So I would not include such parts when I tally up the impurities in a given Axie. Knowing which parts are good/bad depends on the given build and how such an Axie may perform in PvP. This is why many pro breeders are also pro players. The next tool I like to use is more of a PvP tool, to be honest, but it's good for breeders as well, especially for those who are more advanced that are looking to theory craft and create their new builds. The Flowbot's 44 Axie extension allows you to see the exact damage values of each card against each different type of Axie. This is especially useful when trying to theory craft new builds and new breeds. Here's an example. My beautiful samurai bird wants to know if he can one-shot all types of Axies. Well, let's take a look and find out. As we can see over here, Double Talk Ronin will kill any Axie regardless of its type, as the max HP for plants is 516, Aquas it's 420, and for beasts it's 336. This last tool over here is called the breeding simulator, and you can find it on Axie.zone. This tool is a very great way to double check if a given pair will lead to good results. I would definitely recommend this tool to most beginners. This tool is simple to use, and all you really need is the ID of the 2 Axies you're trying to breed, and you just punch them in. You can also simulate the breed any number of times. Before actually breeding, I like to run the simulator maybe 20 to 30 times and check my odds for getting the desired results. If my odds are low and it's under 50%, I would generally not breed the pair. I always try to maintain a 50% or higher odd, or else I would consider the breed a complete YOLO breed. YOLO! This is a great tool for those starting off, even better for those trying to do risky breeds that even the more experienced may not be too sure of. Now that we have a good feel for the tools available, it's time to put it all to good use. By now, I would have assumed you have picked out a build that you want to breed. But for simplicity's sake, we'll be focusing on leafbug plants for today's video. I personally think these are great starter breeds as they are so versatile for many teams, and they are the staple frontline tanks for so many team comps. Now that we have picked out our build, let's take a look at how I would choose a parent. First and foremost, you want to input all the desired traits in the search bar. So let's put in leafbug, pumpkin, serious, and hotbutt. From there, we want to ensure all the eyes and ears are also plant parts. So we filter the purity level to 5, as leafbug is technically an impure part. But remember, as I stated earlier, we want to not look at purity based on how many plant parts this Axie has, but to how close this Axie is to the desired build. So as we take a look out on the market, you'll see a lot of bad breeders on the floor. I would not recommend buying any of these if you're looking to breed profitably. I have a personal minimum of 95%, which would translate to 1 impurity in the R1 and a maximum of 2 impurities in the R2. So now that we know our minimums and our standards, let's take a look at what we can find. So after some searching, we got a couple of great potential breeders. So let's take a look, and I'll give you my comments as to what I like about each Axie and then give my final pick. So this one over here is called 100% Leafbug. It looks very, very clean. Wow, that's almost a 100%, going for a 2.2 ETH. Oof, that's expensive though. Serious all the way through, Leafbug all the way through, Pumpkin all the way through. This is an Ori. This is a 100% Leafbug. This is what you really want to be looking for, guys. This is your 100%. Our next over here, called Perfect Genes, 0.9 ETH. It's more impure, not a 100%. But as we take a look here, it's got Serious all the way, Leafbug all the way, and then we have Pumpkin, Hermit, and then Hotbutt all the way. Hermit isn't the best because it will increase the speed of the Axie, making it less reliable to use Serious. Serious is a card that you want to be using going last. But with that being said, of all the back cards, Hermit isn't the worst because it will prevent you from getting crit by those pesky beasts and preventing any Ronins from working properly. So this isn't even the worst Axie there. This one over here, going for 1.28 ETH, pretty expensive as well. We have, oh, this almost looks like a 100%. It's got Serious all the way through, Pumpkin all the way through, Yam all the way through, but then we have Leafbug, Caterpillars. So this is what I don't really want to be buying because, as I mentioned before, Leafbug is the most essential part of this build. Without Leafbug, you don't have the energy generation that this tank normally does, and that is the whole purpose of this build. So this is an impurity that we really don't want to hit. Going forward, our next one, wow, 99% Leafbug Yam, going for only 0.318. This is very cheap. We have Serious all the way through, Leafbug all the way through, Yam all the way through, and then we have Pumpkin, Snail Shell. See, I like this actually. Snail Shell is not even that bad of a card. It provides a stun when people attack you, making it a very good tank card as well. And it doesn't raise your speed that much more. It actually keeps your speed at 31. It raises your morale a bit, so you will go faster than regular tanks, but that's totally fine. This right here is a steal. I personally think that this is what my final pick would be. This one here is impure in a way that you can still get salvageable potential from it. So even if you do get Snail Shell, it's not the end of the world. You can at least put it into a scholarship team. With 0.3, that's a great price. So this would definitely be my final pick. The reason why I try to set up very pure Axie breeders is because of the mutation mechanic that exists within the game. Based on the community's finding, every child Axie from a set of parents has a 10% chance for every one of their R1 and R2 genes to mutate. This computes to an approximate 40% chance to not get any mutations. So even though you could breed 91% Axies, this does not mean that 90% of your Axies will come out as desired. I usually see a success rate of 50 to 75% when it comes to breeding low percentage Axies. And that's without considering the potential messy R1 and R2 genes. And on top of that, there's also the additional probability of mutations. So there's a good chance all the kids will come out poor and unusable for any future breeding endeavors, which is why I never like breeding anything below a 95%. Now that you guys are armed and ready to woohoo, here's a little insight to the builds I personally recommend breeding and why. First up, we have the staple tank build, the leaf bug plant. This is a very beginner friendly build to breed, and it is a common build that you see in scholarship teams as well as top PvP comp. This build's almost seen everywhere. Due to this fact, there's a significant amount of demand for this build. And the reason why this build is so good for beginners is because of two reasons. Number one, there's an already established market with a lot of good breeders for sale. This means that you can easily buy breeders to start up your farm or repair it down the line in case you get a bad batch. Also, this build has many variations, which allows for more flexibility when breeding. This makes this build very forgiving in those situations that you do get those impurities. The only vital part that all breeders must keep in mind is that this build is very dependent on getting the leaf bug genes. This is the only part that should not be impure. For those who are looking for more of a challenge and a higher profit margin, I would personally recommend the reptile tri-spikers. This is my personal favorite. This is a very common midliner that people like to run in the mid to higher MMRs, especially with Termies and other backline brawlers. As you can see here, this market is less saturated than the leaf bug market, but it's also much harder to breed. The reason being is that there's not that much flexibility in this build, as you really need to get all 4 cards perfect and bird or aqua parts for the eyes to truly get the optimal result. My last recommendation is the double anemone aquas. These builds can be used in many different team comps in many different positions. I've seen them in the back line, the mid line, or even the front lines. The double anemone market is also very well established, similar to the leaf bug market. So there are a lot of breeders that one can use to start up their farm and repair the gene pools when needed. However, this build is slightly harder than leaf bugs, as it's essential that you get both anemones in the horn and the back to make the build work. If you fail to get both and you only get one anemone, the Axie is almost unusable and will sell at a very low price. Now that you breeders have had your mind blown, it's time to put that knowledge to good use. It's hero time, boys, and the 5-day timer waits for no one. And if you want some more high quality content on breeding, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Darkroamer out.